can avoid contact with systems. Big systems, little systems, systems mechanical and electrical, and those special systems that consist of organized associations of people. As a parent, the systems that you're connected to and interact with are generally known as human service systems. Systems are everywhere.
My name is Laura Schnellert, and I have a daughter, Karen, who lives with cerebral palsy, and she also has a diagnosis of developmental delay. Well, I've been a single parent since Karen was 2, and so I've had to do a considerable amount of advocacy for her over the years. Karen lives on her own now. She lives in a lovely, cozy little bungalow in South St. Vital. And she's busy during the day because she receives day services as well. And so she's out and about doing purposeful activity and doing the things that bring her pleasure. My role remains the same. I'm still looking out for her best interest and doing advocacy for her. Advocacy is speaking up. Many families do advocacy that they don't even realize that that's what they're doing. But they're speaking up either for themselves, self-advocacy, they're speaking up for their family member. And it's important. It's important that families speak up and advocate because often things won't change if they don't. Systems can be with any kind of organization or certainly with government. I think systems are very challenging, and it's imperative that we understand the best way to work with systems and to change systems. Often families feel that they don't have a choice. So when I think back to the education system, and I was often told by Karen's community services workers, they would say there were choices. So this was your choice, okay? So Karen could go to a segregated school for people like her, and those were their words, not mine, or she could be in a segregated class. She wouldn't be integrated, it would be like a life skills program. Even in elementary, there would probably be very little academic programming. So they would see that as a choice. And often parents don't realize, they think that these are the people in authority, and so they have to go with that, because those are the programs that are out there for their family member. They're not knowledgeable about the fact that they can say, no, this isn't in the best interest of my child. They may not be comfortable saying that because they know that they're going to get an argument. And that's where support comes in place. I always felt that I didn't have to go by the rules. I don't know why. I just said, no, that's not what is in Karen's best interest.
I'm Bob Jones. I am a member of the Family Gathering Planning Committee and have been on that committee for a number of years, and it was through that committee that I met many parents who talked about their issues and problems with advocating for their child or their adult child, especially related to experience working with systems. My background is in working in advocacy situations and supporting families. I think the first reason for parents to know about it is that if you're a parent of a child or an adult with a developmental disability, you're already connected to and engaging with a system. 99% of people will be. Systems are going to be in your life. They're going to be a factor that you have to know how to work with and around, And so systems are key. From my experience working with parents is that a lot of times parents will go into a meeting with, say, a school meeting, and the parents going in thinking, I have this concern, I have this concern for something about what's going on with my child in the classroom or in the school, and their expectation is that there will be a dialogue about this, a conversation about it. But systems, and this is all systems, it doesn't just refer to systems that are human services, but systems are they're telling entities, they're not listening entities. So when parents go in, they expect that someone's going to listen, and based on what they've said, that the response will attend to that. Systems are primarily compliance-based. So the parent expresses a concern about something, and the response they get is a compliance-based response. So the example that I use when I'm talking to parents about this is cable companies. There's a system, communications, that's a large system. You want to change your cable package. You want to add something, get more shows, less shows, pay less. Well, when you talk to them and you express your dissatisfaction, what they respond with is a fix. They have a bundle. They say, this is what you can have. They're really speaking to you out of a system language. It's not a person language. So even if the person did care about your son or daughter a lot, their environment dictates how they communicate.
When Karen was in school and they would have IEPs, I was never very happy with the IEPs that the school system did for Karen, okay? And oftentimes they would prepare an IEP and they'd put it in front of me and say, here's the IEP, and would you sign it please? Because parents had to sign off on these. I said I wasn't going to sign the IEP because I wanted changes made to it, and they said that that wouldn't happen. And I said, well, who do I have to speak to? And so there's a system or a process that you have to go through. And I think this is true of all systems, whether it's Department of Families, perhaps maybe Department of Health, Department of Education, certainly, because that was my experience. Also with Department of Families, I had to go through the chain of authority. This was the classroom teacher, then the resource teacher, then you had to go to the principal. I didn't feel like I got any support from them, and they definitely said there weren't going to be changes. So the next step was to go to the director of student services within the school division. Then we went to the school trustee and ended up doing a presentation to the school board of trustees. Found a little bit of support there from the local school trustee in the area where we lived. And that individual's recommendation was that we go a step higher. So that led us into contacting the Department of Education. And of course, there's another chain of authority that you have to go through the Department of Education. So we would do that. And eventually I ended up going right to the Minister of Education. So it was a learning process for me. Also, what was helpful at that time were several organizations. So at that time, it was Community Living Manitoba. It was very helpful. I met with them. They provided information and support to me in knowing what the process is, what the how you can go through it, and not only what you need to do to go through it, but different ways of phrasing the dialogue that you have with people in the system as well. So that was my experience and learning experience with a system. That information became very, very valuable.
So parents need to know that systems have components to them. They have legislation, they have divisions, they have authorities, they have fixed points of responsibility, they have all these things. and you need to learn how to map that out and know where to go. People spend way too much time talking to a person who has no ability to make a decision. I supported a family a couple of years ago, and the reason I got involved was that the woman said to me, I've been to 10 meetings and it's not getting anywhere. So I said, well, I'll come to the meeting, I won't speak. We'll meet before and figure out, but you have to do that. You'll speak, and then if there's a point where you want me to speak later, I'll talk, but the parent has to be the primary voice. So I went to the meeting. There were 4 people at the meeting who had come allegedly to resolve the problem. Not one of them had any authority to make a decision about it. And this parent had been meeting with these people for months, over a year. And each time they would listen, they were good listeners, in the meeting, but they had no power to make a decision. So that the issue had not moved in a year. So parents have only so much time and effort to put into this. So that you have to learn, who do I talk to that can make a decision? As Laura talked about, that can go right up to the minister in some cases, because some cases are controversial, right? That no one wants to make a decision. But so you have to find a decision maker.